because I think there's some more stuff to come out from this. But all the stuff that's going on with Ridge Holland. So Ridge Holland obviously had worked for the WWE for I think 8 years, and the new way they do things, which I don't know whether it's nicer or not, is they do kind of tell people when their deals are coming up, hey, like, we're not going to renew your deal, so do feel free to kind of get your kind of ducks in a row, as we'd say over here, and sort stuff out. And look, we can debate until the cows go home whether they kind of were waiting for a very long time to kind of get rid of Ridge, particularly following the Big E situation that happened. I know there's a lot of heat on him for that, as much as people have kind of come out and said there wasn't heat. I think there was. Like, I think Big E, is a beloved kind of member of the WWE, like, family, and I think what happened again, it was an accident and it wasn't Ridge's fault, but I do think it was the fault of the business as a whole, because this obsession with kind of having to do stuff on the outside and having to do table spots and all this sort of stuff that's just not in-ring wrestling. I think that only really aided the situation that happened. But I think if you look at how he's been utilised, definitely in the past 12 months, where they have moved him, over to NXT, and he had feuded with Trick Williams, and then did the stuff with Chase U, and then they moved over to Evolve, and then to TNA, where that's actually where he actually got hurt. It's just a bad situation, and it just sucked. Like, as someone who has been fired from kind of real jobs, in life, I understand that it sucks. But I think with this situation, the thing that I want to discuss more is the fact that he's then put out a series of posts that have been read and seen as kind of defamation of character or defamation of a business. And that's again something I know about, because a number of years ago, I worked for a company. I won't actually say them on this, but they were a famous department store. They are a famous department store here in London. And I got dismissed, along with some other reasons, for something I had posted on social media. And we are seeing this happen in real jobs. And this is a thing where people need to remember that WWE is a corporate entity now. Like, it's owned by TKO. It's ran by people who know what they're doing. And employment law obviously is very different over in America as it is over here. And again, this whole kind of independent contractors and all the kind of stuff that adds to wrestling. But still, what doesn't change the fact that if you or I or anyone else has a kind of regular 9 to 5 job, if we post something that is defamatory to our employer on our social media, and it's a public profile that they have access to, like, we will get fired. Like, there's no doubts about it anymore. Like, anything you post online, you need to be thinking, are you willing to say this to the people that involves? And by this, I mean, Ridge Holland, was he happy to say the post that he put up, where he put about not being able to pay his mortgage and, all that kind of stuff? Was he happy to say that to Nick Khan, to Ari Emanuel, to Triple H, to Bruce Pritchard, to whoever basically in the company? And the answer most likely is no. Like, he wasn't going to be happy saying that. And end of the day, he said it, and he ended up getting released because of it. WWE are paying his medical expenses with his rehab, I believe, but they're not obviously going to pay his downside guarantee. So he's cost himself probably a few grand. I know he took a pay cut last year to go to to NXT, sorry, and he probably has cost himself some money. But I think that the post that kind of followed, where there was a GoFundMe and then it was taken down, he's put a post up saying that someone else put it up and it wasn't really him, but it then took him, like, I think about 3 days to see the post and kind of deal with it, when it's just like, surely you'd know someone put it up. Surely people are messaging you and telling you, hey, like, and you saw donation from people, including wrestlers, both in AEW and WWE sort of things, and fans as well. Like, lots of fans donated. I saw lots of donations from fans, and in my opinion, I think that the whole GoFundMe situation is just wrong in general. Like, I've always maintained that kind of doing a GoFundMe for stuff like wrestling related is kind of trashy. Like, it's kind of like, come on. I get that, yes, Ridge Holland was not kind of a main event wrestler there, but he had been there for a long enough time. He had been on at least 6 figures the past few years, and yes, he's got 5 children, but that's his decision. Like, I don't think that really needs to come into things here. Like, he decided to have 5 children. No one told him to have 5 children, and he's got himself a situation where he's saying he can't afford, basically, to do situations, and that's what feels weird. It feels a bit like, well, you were moaning and saying you had no money and you couldn't pay for stuff, and then a GoFundMe appears and suddenly you're not part of it, and but it takes you 3 days to kind of realise it. You know, you are only as honest as your word can be, and I think here you've got a situation where, you know, Ridge Holland potentially has been a bit dishonest with this, you know, and I don't want to say more than that because I think there will be more to come out from this, and maybe by the time this even gets posted, this will kind of already be kind of done and dusted, as is the case in wrestling. A lot of people sympathise with him for losing his job, you know, because a lot of people have lost jobs in general, but also in this time that we are in at the moment, particularly kind of over here and in parts of America where things are just bad and they're sucky. And losing a job is one of the worst things to have happened to you, particularly this close to Christmas, and particularly as a family man. And again, his decision to have that many kids, but still, like there's people who are not part of this that are now having to be affected by this, and that's not right. Okay, so just a quick addendum to the video. I recorded that prior to receiving notification that Luke Menzies, Rich Holland, had made further claims on social media and basically said in a statement that he does not plan on using the GoFundMe money for anything other than its original purpose. And he has said that he will donate future amounts to charity. And I think if nothing else kind of comes out, I think we can leave it at that. And I want to say I wish him well in what he does in the future, and I wish that he and everyone that has watched this video has a very blessed day. Thank you.